All right, good morning everybody. In this video, what I'm going to show you how we validate the information that the user enter, and based on what they enter, we could call the proper service to enter the information in the database. In normal situation, you have some fields that are required that you don't just insert any garbage in your database. So you want to make sure that whatever they enter, their validation. Now, in this example, I'm going to do some validation, but this validation is just basic rules that these are not empty. Now, you can make your own rules. You can check how long each field is, like the password has to be certain fields. You can do, for example, you can check if it has certain characters or not. So you could do that on your own, but I'm just going to show you the process. So what we have before, we have this thing. When we click on this button, we call the user register service. Now, the user register service is the one that we used before. Should not be called anytime. It should be only called when the information here is correct. Then I will call this register service. And the way we do this, we do it through JavaScript code. Okay, we do some validation, and everything is fine. Then I will call the I'll call the user register service. All right. So how we do this? First of all, I'm going to delete. There are a few things that before I do that, there are a few things that are important. This is the service that we're going to called user register. So this is important to remember. Here you have objects like the name, the full name, the phone, password, confirm password. I added this confirm password, so in the last video it wasn't, so I added another field. Now all these has names. I changed their names. I changed this to txt user ID, txt full name, txt phone, txt pass, and txt confirm pass. Okay, those are important. Why are these important? Because in your JavaScript, you need to access these controls to validate them. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start. So what do? We click on the register button. We delete this invoke service that we had before. Now I'm going to add JavaScript. Now here's my JavaScript. Now I already have the code. I've done the code somewhere else, so I'm going to just add it here, copy it and paste it here, and I'll explain it because it would take a while to type it. So I'm going to do Control V here. Hopefully, no, it's the wrong one. Let me open Notepad, and I'll just copy this code. Okay, I need to copy more. All right, now let's take a look at this code, and let me make it a little bit bigger, minus, so you can see it. All right, hopefully this will be big enough for you. I want to see the controls so we'll talk about it. Okay, so what are we doing here? The first thing I need to do is that I want to access. Now I did it in this manner. You can do it in a different way, but I did it in this manner step by step so you can understand what's happening. So the first thing I'm doing is that I need to get all the fields that I have here. Okay, so this is, we zoomed in here too much. All right, so you can see it. And I just need to make this is bigger again. Alright, maybe this you should be, hopefully you'll be able to read this on YouTube. Alright, one more thing like that. Alright, so what is this here? What we have, I'm defining variables, objects, whatever you're going to call it, that reference those fields that I have in the page. So come on. So the username, I have a field called user ID. The full name, I have a field called full name. the user password, I have a field called password. All these that when I need to use in my that I need to validate, I define them. Appery has if you use Java jQuery or you use DOM to get these, basically these have IDs, and then you can get like document, get element by ID, or Appery has made it easy, so we just say Appery, the name of the field, user ID, and then the value. If you don't use the value, you're just getting the whole object. Then you'll have to use the value later on to get the text. So this will give me whatever the user entered. So I have all these things for the password and the full name, the phone, all of these values. So I'm defining fields to get those inputs. After that, because what I want to do is that I might have multiple error on the screen. So instead of checking each element, and if it's not empty, alert box, if not empty, alert box, if it's empty, alert box, we don't want to do that. We put an alert. What I want to do is that I have one pass. I check every time I have an error. If I have an error, I add it to a string called error message. So by the time I exit my validation, all the errors that happen on this page should be listed in one variable called string, and then we will display it. So what do we have here? We have an error message that is blank. Then I start doing my checking. jQuery command that trims the field, because what if I put spaces? Spaces are actually characters and they're not blank. So we will get a problem. So what we have first, we call a function called trim, and then the field that I want to trim, which is this user ID. What does it do? It basically remove all the spaces. Now Appery did not like, in traditional JavaScript you can use only equal, but I was getting a warning that said should use equal, triple equal, so I'm using triple equal. So so I'm trimming all the spaces, all white spaces. That way I make sure they enter non-white spaces and characters. So if it's empty, I add to the error message user ID cannot be blank /n, which is a new line. So every time I have an error message, I add it to the string, and a new line would be listed underneath. So the next message will go underneath this line. Same thing with the password. If it's empty, we do that. Same thing with the name, full name. Same thing with the confirm password. Now at the end, I didn't do the phone, but you can do the phone. Maybe phone is optional, okay? But so phone was optional, I didn't have to do it. At the end, we check if the user password and the confirm password, if they're not equal, then I put a message saying, wait a minute, they have to match, okay? What happens after this? So all of these parts that you saw here, just to validate the fields. By the time I exit this piece of code at the end, error message is either blank or it has a value. If it's a blank, that means none of these conditions happen. That means everything is okay, and all I need to do is call the proper service to insert the data into the database. So this is client validation. And now, if the error message is empty, that means what? It means I'm okay. There is no errors. So what do I do? Remember, this is the name of the service that we have in our code. Remember, I said that was important. So what do? I say user register that execute. So we are running it, and I'm not passing anything to it. Okay. So this will actually call the service. When does it happen? Only if there are no errors in the page. And if the error message is not empty, then what do? I say alert, please fix the following errors, and here's my error message, which should have all the errors that happen on the page. Alright, so that's all. There's not much to it. Of course, you can do more validation if you want. You can be as creative as you want, but this is what happens. Now, if I want to test it, let's save it first. So now that one that we have, the run service is gone, and we have only run this JavaScript. Now if I do test, allow from Appery. I have to run it again. All right. So I click on register. Now, what do you think should happen? Now, if I click on register, I don't have anything here, I don't have anything here, I don't have anything here. No, phone is okay, I don't have anything here, I don't have anything here. So if I click on register, I would get this error message saying, user, fix the following errors. User ID cannot be blank, password cannot be blank, full name cannot be blank, and confirm my password cannot be blank. So what do? Let's say if I start entering here, let's say Jim or Scott. Friend of mine is called Scott, so I put in Scott. And his name is Scott Long. Alright. Now if I click on register, now the errors that you have here should say only about whatever remaining on the page. So it says password cannot be blank, confirm password cannot be blank. So what do? I say password is 123, and here I'm gonna put 1, 2. If I don't put 1, 2, 3, if I said 1, 2, 3, 4, and I click on register, passwords do not match. You got that? So now if I put 1, 2, 3, and I click on register, it should be happy. It called the service. Congrats, you're a member now. Hit OK. Take you back to the login page. Now watch what's going to happen. If I say Scott, and I say 1, 2, 3, click on register, I'm there. No, sorry. Log in. I got Scott Long, but I didn't map this properly. All right. So no, that was the phone. Remember, the phone was empty. So back. All right. So if I type in Ali 1, 2, 3, log in. Now I'm an admin page, and the name, and then the admin. So that should conclude the registration, the login process with some authentication, user authentication. Of course, I mean, with security and authentication, there are many ways to do this, but this is if you want to do a basic security and different authority levels using user tables. All right, we're done. Hopefully this will help you, and I'll see you in the next video.